Hey guys, okay, welcome back to part 2 of my Q&A. My phone actually died on the last one and I'm like, you know what, the video was getting long anyway, so let's just do a part 2. Okay, also hi, if you don't know me, my name is Ashley Hollis. I'm Big Brother season 27 winner. I'm an actress. Well, hopefully in the future I'm taking acting lessons, but call myself that because we're manifesting. Okay, I'm also an attorney, I'm also a singer, I sing, and I'm doing the social media thing. So welcome to my channel if you're new here, and yeah, you can expect to get lots of fun content, whether it's fashion, beauty, get ready with me, pop culture, reality TV, unbunking the different things. Okay, we'll have traders talks, we'll have housewives talks, all of it. So if you like that and you're interested in that, subscribe to my channel. So let's dive right into the Q&A again. Okay, so did you know when feeds would go down or up, like on Thursdays, and what was the best and worst part about being in the BB house? Ooh, so I had no idea when feeds went down. I typically knew, okay, like if we're doing a live show, the feeds are not on. But I wasn't really sure when they came on after the show ended, if it was like immediate. I don't know. I've never watched Big Brother live feeds ever in my life, so I had no idea how they worked. Best part about being in Big Brother was meeting some of the people. Some of the people were just great people I think I'll know and have in my life for a long time. And worst thing was definitely living with all those people. Sorry. Best and worst, right? Huh? What was my favorite and least favorite competition? That's a really good question. So my favorite competition was probably the finale because it was strictly a mental competition and I knew I'd be good at a mental competition. Least favorite competition was wall comp. That was pretty rough. And then almost a tie was the HOH part 1. That one was awful. It actually wasn't that hard to hold on. I held on for a really long time. It was the spinning that was literally making me sick. I was like, oh, I'm trying to get off of here. And so I did. I jumped off. I don't know if they showed that. I did not fall. I purposely was like, how can I fall off of here? What is the best way to fall? Because I'm going to jump off. Someone said, hey queen, what music for your HOH iPod phone would you have requested? So I requested Beyonce, Usher, Ariana Grande, SZA, Mariah Carey, and those are the top 5 I remember. And I had like a few different Beyonce albums, a few different Ariana Grande albums, but unfortunately your girl never won a HOH till the finale, so I didn't get any of my music. Who was the best cook? Mickey, by far. Mickey was the best cook. Who was the worst cook, someone asked? I love you, Jimmy, but the pasta was kind of dry. I love Jimmy though, and I'm sure he's good at other things. But I'm not even gonna lie to you, we all kind of talk shit about the pasta. I'm so sorry, Jimmy. I really do love Jimmy, but I gotta be honest. But listen, I'm sure he wouldn't have been the worst cook. I'm sure Lauren, if she cooked for us, her food would have been the worst because she really couldn't cook. And she only made microwave mac and cheese and ate pizza. So I also love Lauren, but I think if she was to cook, she'd probably be the worst cook out of everyone, just based off of like the way she eats. She puts like sugar on her mac and cheese and she's like Kraft mac and cheese. Love you, Lauren, but I think she would have been the worst cook, actually, not Jimmy. And not everybody cooked. So Keanu might have been the worst cook. I don't know. He mostly ate eggs and hot dogs. So I really don't know. I don't know who's the worst cook. Who are you still in contact with? I regularly talk to Will and Amy. Those are the people I talk to the most from the cast. I talk to Rachel, Amy, Will the most. Text here and there, Jimmy, and then everybody else I don't really talk to. Yeah, but I don't not like anyone necessarily. Like I don't talk to Lauren or Catherine regularly, but every now and then I'll like a story, you know what I mean? Or like Catherine texted me the other day something funny about pimple patches and we, texted. So like there's nobody I'm like explicitly like, actually there are a few people I'm explicitly not trying to talk to, but there's no one I hate from my cast. Genuinely, like it feels like such the past Big Brother, truly. Like it was 3 months ago and 3 months honestly feels like a lifetime, I'm not gonna lie. Like I've lived a lot of life since then. I moved to a whole different state, so. What was one thing you learned about yourself from this experience, and what advice would you give about preparing mentally and emotionally for going to the BB house? The one thing I learned about myself the most from this experience is probably My resilience. I think I'm a very resilient person. Also my adaptability. I always knew I was a very adaptable person, but it wasn't until the house and seeing how so many people were handling Big Brother so poorly, it was very hard for them and very hard on them. That made me realize like, oh crap, I actually am like a way more adaptable person than most of these people. And that's a huge quality of mine that I didn't even realize that I had. I always knew I was adaptable, but I think I just thought everybody had that skill. So yeah, I'm very easily adaptable. I'm like a chameleon. So that really surprised me. And that's something I also learned from myself. And yeah, just how resilient I am, how I really don't care what people think about me. I always knew that, but I really didn't care in the house. Like I really didn't care what those people thought of me. It did not bother me. I was like, I got plenty of friends in real life. So if I was friends with absolutely nobody from the cast, it would be no harm, no foul. Like, it's great that I did make friendships, but I didn't go in there being like, I have to make lifelong friendships. You know what I mean? Like, I have a lot of friends in my regular life. So I wasn't too worried about that going into the house. But it's nice that I came out with some lifelong friends. What advice do I give up preparing mentally and emotionally? Mentally, I would say you need to be mentally strong. I think there are some people in the house that were not mentally strong. I don't recommend people with anxiety or anything like that going into the house. I know they did make a few exceptions and there were some people who had anxiety who were allowed to be there, but I think they really struggled. So I would say you need to be mentally like sound. You need to be mentally strong. You need to have a good values. You need to like know who you are. I think if you don't know who you are, going into an experiment like this will be really difficult because you're interacting with so many different people and you're also being judged by the world, like everybody who watches the show. So I think you really need to be someone who has a very clear head on their shoulders and who is very sure of who they are, because that way when you come out the house, the hate, if you get hate, it won't bother you. Ashley, the winner of Big Brother gets a role in Bold and Beautiful. If so, are you going to play a role in Bold and Beautiful? I am not. I didn't get asked to do that. Yeah. Hey, Ashley, in a season of comps, but going back to that, I didn't get asked to do that, but I don't think Chelsea was either. So I don't think it's like a me thing. I want to add that in there. But no, I didn't get asked to do it. And if I was asked to do it, you would have seen me because I would have said, heck yeah. Ashley, I want to see you on Beyond the Gates and play as an attorney. Me too. Someone will call CBS and tell them. Another person said, hey, Ashley, in a season of comps, your win proved that Big Brother at its core is a social game. How do you think your season would have turned out if Blockbuster ended when jury started like most fans expected? And is there anything in your game that would have changed? Nothing in my game would have changed. I actually think I would have had an even better reason to win the game if there was no Blockbuster, because I wouldn't have been on the block during Lauren's HOH. During Lauren's HOH, if there was no third nominee, it would have been Will and probably Morgan. Not even probably. It for sure would have been Morgan and I think Will. And if it wasn't Will, it would have been Morgan and Keanu. And I think Will would have been the replacement no matter what. And so I wouldn't have touched the block that week. And that would have been a pretty good argument for my case if I made it to the end. But I don't think my game would have changed in any way if Blockbuster didn't exist. Rank the jury and Vince on who you would vote for if they were in the final two with the game that they played before their eviction. Ooh, wait, rank the jury and Vince on who you would vote for if they were in the final two. Oh, I see. Rank who I would have voted for if they were in the final two with the game they played before eviction. I think Will, no matter who he was sitting next to, unless it was Rachel, Will would have gotten my vote. I think if it was Will versus Rachel, it'd be almost impossible not to vote for Rachel because she was such a huge target in the house. But I would have voted for Will next to literally anyone else. So Will would have had my vote no matter what, no matter who he was next to. Vince, I don't think there's a world. Actually, there is a world. I would have voted for Vince if he was next to Keanu. I would have voted for Vince if he was next to Lauren. And I would have voted for Vince if he was next to Kelly. Those are the three people I would have 100% voted for Vince against. Keanu, I would have voted for Keanu next to Kelly. And I would have voted for Keanu next to Lauren. But that's pretty much it out of jury who Keanu would have gotten my vote. Morgan, I would have voted for her to win next to Vince. I would have voted for her to win against Lauren. I would have voted Morgan to win against anybody except Rachel and Will. So she would have had my vote no matter who in jury besides Rachel and Will. I would not have voted for Morgan over Rachel or Will. And then Ava would have had my vote next to everyone except Will and Rachel. Who else is in jury? Kelly wouldn't have had my vote next to anyone. I'm sorry. She was playing a terrible game in my opinion. So she wouldn't have got my vote next to anyone. Lauren would have only gotten my vote next to Kelly. And who else is left? I think that's it. I think that's all jury. I think I said everyone. Did I? Yeah, I think I said everyone. That's everyone then. That's how I would have voted based off of who was in jury. Who is the funniest in the house / who did you laugh with the most? Or top 3. Funniest in the house. Ooh, that's hard. Okay, let's do top 3. Top 3 funniest people in the house were Ava, Mickey, Will, or Rachel. Those are my top 3 funny people. Who did I laugh with the most? Top 3 people I laughed with the most were Mickey, Will, and Rachel. And Ava, close, like Ava. Those 4 I laughed with the most. Why are you willing to forgive other house guests who did you worse in the game and give them benefit of the doubt, but not Mickey, who had your back more than them? It's heartbreaking to hear you say Mickey was your unknown beef on podcast when these peeps never wanted to save you, unlike Mickey did 3 times. Okay, I will just address this. I was upset post-game because the most with Mickey, because I was the most excited to be friends with her. Anybody on live feed saw me say that to Ava and to whoever else who asked who am I like excited to see again and reconnect with. Mickey was the number 1 person I was the most excited to see out of all the people who had been evicted pre-jury probably, because yeah, me and Mickey spent like 8 weeks, 9 weeks like together, and she was by far my best friend in the house. I like at some points she was even closer. We were even closer than Rachel, just because Mickey and I obviously were closer in age. And also we just had a lot of commonalities. Like we had a lot of commonalities, I think, and she even said it herself, like in so many videos that I reminded her of her little sister. We really had like a sisterly relationship where it was like, oh, you'd piss me off, but I love you. Like that's how we both felt about each other. So I think coming out of the house, I was just the most disappointed. It wasn't even that I hated her. It wasn't I despised her, like nothing like that. I was just extremely disappointed in the things that I saw online on interviews post-season. I think the difference between a lot of other people was that they talked shit about me on the show, but in their post interviews, they didn't say bad things. You know what I'm saying? Like Lauren, I obviously saw, she said something about me on the show, but in her post-season interview, she said, I was surprised Ashley's actually really smart. You know, she didn't like come at me in that way. I think the only other person that came at me was Zach post show. Like I saw interviews of him post show, like coming for me. And I was annoyed with Zach, but it didn't matter as much about Zach because I didn't really care. Like, I didn't care as much as, like, I cared about Mickey, you know? Like, me and Zach were good friends, but Zach also went home, like, week 4 or week 5, whatever. He went home very early. So, and I didn't trust Zach fully. So, like, I didn't have the same relationship with Zach as I did with Mickey. So, when I saw the interviews about Mickey and the things that she said about me, like, she said I was diabolical or something, and then she said, like, I'm not black enough or something, you know, that bothered me because I really cared about her and I was the most excited to be close with her post show. We had talked a lot on the show about like I was gonna come to Atlanta and I was gonna stay in her empty room for a little and she would show me around and introduce me to her friends and like, you know, we had all of these plans. So I was really disappointed because I was really looking forward to those plans coming to fruition. I will say I didn't watch the show at that point. I just started watching the show again, maybe like a few weeks ago. And I've seen up until like week 5. And I did see how much Mickey had my back. So it's just unfortunate. But I will say I did try to make things right. When I saw her in Florida, I realized, you know what, F the beef. Like, I do really care about this person. When you see someone in person, you interact with them, it's a whole different story. And so when we were seated kind of like in the same row, I did get up and I gave her a hug. I think she might have been on live, so some of you might have seen it, but that was genuine. I wanted to talk to her more during the Florida weekend, but it was kind of impossible. We just never really crossed paths that much. She didn't come into the Florida event until Friday. So by then the event was almost over. And then Saturday I was very tired. We had the signing for like 4 hours. And then by the time the night came, I was tired, y'all. I slept in. I overslept the nap. You know, as you guys probably saw, if some of you were on my live, I was trying to figure out my outfit. So there was a lot of different things happening that I didn't get a chance to speak to her. And so I asked Amy, I said, Amy, you know, after the show, I said, you know, it doesn't feel right that we're the two Black girls being pit against each other and we're, you know, beefing and we're in all these articles about arguing over Blackness. Like, it just seems stupid. It doesn't seem right. We should be representations of uplifting each other and uplifting women in general, but especially Black women and people of color. And it just didn't sit right with me. And so I talked to Amy about it and she was like, agreed with me that I should text her. Amy gave me Mickey's number and that's the text that you guys, I'm sure, have seen some of it online. Yes, she did respond. I didn't feel comfortable posting her response because, you know, at that point she was still alive to my knowledge and I just didn't feel like it was right. I felt like that was her story to tell, whatever she said. It wasn't negative, by the way, but just, it's not my place to talk about someone else's, you know, that's her business to tell, not mine. And yeah, it's just really sad. It's unfortunate. I feel like when you're young, especially me, I'm guilty of this. You just think you have so much time and you think you have, you know, unlimited time, dare I say. You know, when you're young, you don't think about the end. I don't think I ever truly thought about the end. Until recently, until all of these deaths are happening in the world. And it really just puts life into perspective for you. Yeah, what happened to Mickey, I don't even think I fully processed it. I'm still a bit in shock because I spent 3 months with this person, like almost. So it's very shocking when something like that happens. And it's just so sad. It's just so sad, and I don't even have the words, guys. I don't have the words because I don't think I've fully processed it. Because when you guys tag me in videos or photos of me and Mickey, it feels like she's there, you know? And so, yeah, I'm just praying for her family. I mean, her poor mom, I know her and her mom were extremely close, guys. Like, Mickey talked about her mom all of the time. All of the time she talked about her mom. You know, they were very close. I believe I even may have shouted out her mom one time on the show because Mickey was like a HOH and she couldn't go in the diary room. And, you know, she was really sad about missing her mom's wedding. There's a lot of things. I don't want to get too deep into it, but a lot of these questions are asking about Mickey. And I don't really have words. But I don't want to just ignore the questions so people think I don't care, because I obviously do care. I just don't have the words right now. I don't have the words. I don't think I've fully processed it. I don't even think I understand how something like this could happen to someone so young. I know things happen, but I'm young. I'm 26. Like, when you're 26, you just think about all the time that you have to do everything, pursue your goals, talk to friends, talk to family. You know, I definitely thought me and Mickey, you know, would have time. I thought we'd have time. I personally needed time to process everything that happened post-show. And by December and by the event, I had processed it and I wanted to move forward. And it's just unfortunate. But yeah. What was your experience with casting like? My experience with casting was great. I loved everybody on the casting team. They were so friendly. They were so nice. They really try to make you feel warm, welcome, and comfortable. They're really the best. I have nothing but amazing things to say about the casting team for Big Brother. They're truly phenomenal. They're truly professional. They're caring. They try to accommodate you in every way you can. I had a really great casting experience, honestly. Is it true that Ava was an alternate? Yes, she was an alternate. It's unfortunate that that got leaked. I know, like, Morgan accidentally said something because we thought we weren't on live, guys. We didn't realize. And then, like, when she said it, I was like, oh, shoot, we're on live, I'm pretty sure. So that was kind of awkward. But, yeah, obviously you guys saw that. So, yes, she was an alternate. Did Morgan or Rachel ever study with you? No. Do you think Lauren was playing a character like you were? No. Do you know Lauren was in the wine room laughing with Riley when he said he would trip you? It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. Did you throw almost every head of household comp? Because it looked like you were very close. You were close to win a few of them. So the one I 100% like threw the most like genuinely I would have won it, but I indeed threw it, was the ball rolling competition. I threw it to Morgan. I don't know if she knows that, but like everybody else knows that. I was about to win the competition, and then I saw she was close, and so I purposely slowed down because I knew I could not win that competition, because I had already put in my head like who I would put up, which I would have put up Lauren and Keanu, and I really wouldn't have cared which one went home. But the problem was, when I did the math, I was like, okay, if Keanu or Lauren win Blockbuster, or not Blockbuster, but if Keanu or Lauren win the veto, I'm gonna have to choose between Morgan, Ava, and Vinny. 3 people who all think I'm working with them. This will absolutely F my game up, because if I put Vinny up, Vinny's gonna go home. Now I have Morgan coming after me. If I put Morgan up and Morgan doesn't go home, I'm gonna have Vinny coming after me. If I put Ava up, now Ava really isn't gonna work with me, because Ava's not gonna go home. They're gonna send Lauren home. Ava will still be in the game. She'll be pissed at me. This is not good. So I knew it wasn't a good situation for me to win it. And as much as I really wanted to like have a win on my resume, it was more important for me to always think long term. And I thought long term, and I foresaw that I was gonna be in big doo-doo if anybody won the veto. So I threw it to Morgan. I knew she'd put up Lauren and Keanu, and I knew Lauren would be her target. So what did you think of the Zingbot zing? I thought it was stupid. Sorry, I didn't think it was funny. I thought it was untrue. Anybody in the house knew I didn't follow Rachel around. I loved Rachel to death, but yeah, I never followed anything she did. Like, I literally was my own person. We voted different ways. You know, we didn't agree on certain people we wanted to keep, and like, that was okay. We were still besties. Like, you don't have to be identical twins to your bestie. And I didn't think it was funny. It was a fake laugh. Honestly, I didn't think some of them were funny, to be honest. How did you feel about White Locust Twist only allowing 3 people to be eligible for HOH? I thought it was really stupid, and I don't think they should do White Locust ever again. Are the beds comfortable? They're okay. They weren't that bad. The best beds were in the train room, in my opinion. But they're really small. So I hit my arm multiple times. I got like a scar from scratching. I like moved, I went like this and it cut me. So it was a little tight in the beds, but the beds weren't bad. The beds were not bad at all. The worst part was people snoring. That was the worst part. Why do you think Vince evicted you against Mickey? I think because at the end of the day, Vince wished I was going home. And so I think in his imagination, it made him feel better about the fact that I was staying, that he didn't have to vote for me to stay. That's what I think. How's my life been outside of the Big Brother house? It's been absolutely amazing, incredible. This is like, I'm living kind of like my dream life right now. I love getting to go to events. I love getting to meet new people. I love getting to meet fans. I love just everything about it. Obviously, I haven't fully stepped into my social media bag yet, but I'm loving, you know, just the dip in the toe that I've done. I'm really excited about some of the creative projects I have coming up. And I'm really just, I feel very blessed. I have amazing people in my life. My family's amazing, my friends are amazing, and even my new friends are amazing. I've made such a great community here in LA so far, so I'm really enjoying it. Thank you for asking. Has anyone in the house apologized to you for how they handled Showergate? It felt personal watching it. Yeah, it did feel personal, and nobody apologized. Did you watch Reindeer Games? Do you remember, or did you know the hamster wheel was on the show? Or did Rachel have to tell the story of Brittany and Danielle? No, I watched Reindeer Games. I saw it all happen. As soon as they opened the hamster wheel, I like told Rachel and whoever else, I was like, oh my God, this is like the hamster wheel of doom. We're gonna get evicted one by one. Like, I was just so worried they would add a twist to it. So I was like, oh my God, are they gonna evict multiple of us? Like, I really didn't know how they were gonna do it. But when I saw the hamster wheel, I immediately remembered the freakish thing with Danielle. I love Danielle, and I hate that she went out that way, and I was like, oh, we're fucked. Like, this sucks. What helped you when you were at your wit's end with people looking down on you? I just kept thinking about how many people would love to be in my position and how many people audition for the show and they never make it. And I also was just thinking about how amazing my life was outside the show, to be honest. And like, some of the people took it the wrong way when I said that, or they wanted to take it the wrong way. Like, they took it the wrong way, but that's not how I even said it. I simply said, I have an amazing life. I have amazing friends. I have amazing family, and I have amazing career outside of this. So if this doesn't work out for me, I'm good. Like, I am content. I have faith in the Lord. I know whatever will work out is meant to work itself out. So I feel like just knowing who I am really helped, you know, when people were looking down on me. And just not caring. I'm not someone who really cares what people think about me. I'm very confident and very sure of myself. And sometimes that might intimidate people. But I'm very sure of who I am. I know who I am. I know my values. I know what I stand for. And it didn't really matter to me what people thought about me because I knew the truth, you know? What did the house smell like? Sometimes it smelled bad. Sometimes it stank. What did I think about Hotel Mystere and the mastermind plot? I thought it was cool. I thought it kept things interesting. I just felt like some of the mastermind schemes were a little bit too much. But I did like how they, you know, fast forwarded the game. I like that they kept a lot of people in the game until they couldn't, because I think it makes it more interesting for viewers. So I really enjoyed that. And it also made it less boring for us house guests, having more people in the game till the end. That was really, I liked that. What is my lip combo? I actually have a video. I have a video of it on TikTok and Instagram of my lip routine, and I can tag it in the bio. So if you go to my bio and you want to see my lip routine, I will link the video. But I use like Fenty, I use a few different products, but I will link it in my bio. So if you want to check out my lip routine, go to my bio and I will have the link right there. What was your favorite moment with Rachel in the BB house? Oh my gosh, so many. Me and Rachel had so many laughs, guys. Rachel is really the best. Like, she's such a good person. She's very kind-hearted, and you know, we're both divas. What can we say? We're both divas. And yeah, I had amazing moments with Rachel. I'm trying to think of the best one. I think the best moment for me with Rachel was when I was about to go up on the block on Keanu's HOH, just how much she cared, like, in her soul. Like, it hurt her more than it hurt me that I was going on the block. And there was a really sweet moment when Rachel was crying in the shower at the thought of me going home. And it really made me sad, and it made me, like, value our relationship and just our times in the house. Because if I had gone home that week, the reality is I wouldn't have made it to jury. I wouldn't have made it to jury, and we would have been without each other, and that would have been sad. I love my relationship with Rachel in the show, and I hope it continues. I know we're both busy with life, but yeah, we had some great moments. Who's your ideal final three? Ideal final three was Ava, Vinny, and me. Describe some of the smells in the BB house. You guys asked that a lot. It didn't smell good sometimes, yeah. Was there something that you didn't expect to miss when you were in the house? No, I missed everything I thought I'd miss. I'm not gonna lie. Have you heard anyone from the cast get in contact with Vince? Has he ghosted all of y'all? You know, to be honest, guys, me and Vince weren't close in the house, so why would we be close after the house? There's no hate, there's no love lost. I think Vince is a very nice person, but we barely held the conversation in the house. Like, so why would we hold a conversation outside the house? As far as who he's talked to, I'm pretty sure I've heard through the grapevine him and Morgan talk. I've heard through the grapevine him and Keanu talk. And I've heard from the grapevine he talks to some people from other seasons. So he's doing fine, I'm pretty sure. Were you always good with conflict, stressful situations, or did your law agree help in your pageant experience? Yes, I've always been pretty good in conflict. I've always been fine with addressing conflict head on. And I don't think my law degree helped with that. I think that's just my personality. I've always been like that. Maybe pageants help, maybe like competition and being in that environment helped. I was a competitive dancer for a few years, and I always just love to compete. I honestly compete with myself, if that makes sense. Like, I'm always in competition with myself. I'm always in competition to be better than I was the day before. So yeah, I think I've always been very okay. I'm pretty outgoing, so I've always been okay with conflict. I don't know, it's just how I was born. I think I get it from my dad. Have any jurors talked to you about their reasoning for voting for you, aside from obviously Rachel and Ava, just because they made the jury segments about Vince and we saw very little of your thoughts on you? I haven't really talked, no, like, Rachel told me that the edit was not accurate. She said the edit talked a lot about Vince, but she said she did talk about my game a lot. So yeah, they just edited it to be about Vince, but that's not actually what happened in the round table, I guess. Like, her and Will and Ava all had arguments about why I should win, I guess. And they just didn't air it. Where did you get all of your outfits that you wore this season? Ooh, I'm gonna make a whole video on that, trying on my different outfits. So stay tuned for that. During your showers, did you contemplate your game plans? Sometimes, but most of the time I just use it to unwind and relax. And I didn't really think about the game that much, I'm not gonna lie. What is your favorite season you've watched, and who, if any, did you model your game after going into it? That's a really good question. My favorite season I've watched, honestly, Jess and Cody's season was chaotic, but my favorite season, which I actually didn't watch, fun fact, I never seen this season before last year, but I saw Janelle and Kaster's season probably like March of last year, March of 2024, and that's my favorite season by far. Who did I model my game after? Elle Woods. Elle Woods. I honestly embodied a character and knew that was how I kind of wanted to be. How are your reads so good? Guys, I'm telling you, anyone in my family or my close friends will tell you I've always had amazing reads on people. This is like my superpower, and I talked about this a lot in my audition. I said I can read a book for felt. Like I can read someone, see them, have a few conversations with them, and know exactly who they are and what the hell is up. Like that's just me. I talked about it in my audition process because I said that is me, and like as you guys saw in the game, that really was me. Like that's just been a gift of mine since forever. I can't explain it. I just always know what's good. Like I always know what's good. I go off of vibes. I go off of, you know, what are their little mannerisms? Are they looking me in the eye? How do they talk to me? I'm adding everything up and I'm doing the math. Beep, bop, boop, 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 and I'm like, yep, can't trust ya. Yep, you're working with so-and-so. Like I just knew it, guys. Like I don't know how to explain it. I just knew. How did it feel when Big Brother told you and Ava to knock it off when you guys were picking each other up? It felt funny. It felt funny. Me and Ava just had a vibe. We were just so funny at the end of the game. That was like, we were like Beavis and Butthead together. Who do you think had the best and worst HOH reigns this season? Best HOH reign. Ooh. Best HOH to me was when Lauren went on the block during Vinny's HOH, because that was just so insane to me. I was like, this is crazy good. Like, I love this for me. Like, how could he be so dumb? Like, to me, I love that. But I think Rachel's HOH obviously turned out really amazing. So I would say Rachel's HOH had the most impact. Worst HOH was probably Jimmy's HOH, because getting Amy out was such a weak move in my opinion. There were so many other people he could have backdoored, and Amy could have been a potential like pretend ally for a little. And also Amy wasn't as strong as competitions as like someone like Riley. I think he should have targeted Riley or Catherine during his HOH. That would have been a much stronger HOH, and I think it would have changed the trajectory of his game. I think getting Amy out was terrible for his game. And I think second terrible HOH was Mickey getting Jimmy out, because Jimmy would have never came for Mickey. So I think those were the worst HOHs to me, because Mickey should have taken a big shot, like at someone like Vinny, maybe Zach or Lauren. I think those would have been more strong moves for Mickey's game. And I think she could have lasted a lot longer if she didn't get Jimmy out then, because Jimmy would have been a target for the next week and the next week. So I think it's imperative to sometimes leave targets in the house at certain points in the game, because otherwise you become the target if you're a strong player. And Mickey was an extremely, extremely strong player. So I think that was a misstep on her half, which I told her not to do it. Was there any comp you thought you would do better at? No, I didn't even compete in that many competitions. I never got picked for veto. Like, was my name even in that veto box, y'all? Like, I don't know. It never got pulled. So there was no comps I thought I would do better at that I competed in. Would I ever go on other reality shows? Example, Traitors, Survivor, The Amazing Race, etc. I would go on other reality shows. I would never do Survivor. Sorry, that is not my vibe. That sounds like cruel and unusual punishment. But yeah. And then as far as Traitors, I would do Traitors in a heartbeat if they called me. I actually think I'd be very good at Traitors. And I'm not saying that to be cocky. I genuinely think I'd be so good at it, because I'm really unsuspecting. And if I was cast on Traitors, I would definitely want to be a traitor. Yeah. Where is my pink dress from the dinner? Oh, my pink dress is from House of CV. But I'm going to do a whole video about my outfits. How did I feel about the inconsistency of have-nots? Did it wind up feeling pointless? Yes. Have-nots felt extremely pointless and felt really dumb, to be honest. It just felt like we were doing something just to do it and to torture us. Were you guys and gals really not allowed to have naps? We technically weren't, but we all napped anyway. Yeah, we were all guilty of napping anyway. Did your cast play games like charades, talent show, mafia, or hide and go seek like previous seasons? Before live feeds? No, not before live feeds, no. If it was you, Rachel, and Will, who would you have taken to final 2? I would have taken Will to final 2. Because I think if it was me, Will, and Rachel, and I won the final HOH and I took out Rachel, I think everybody would have voted for me besides Ava. Just because that would have been such a big move. Rachel is the most powerful person, you know, in the game. What was the best meal that Rachel made in the house? Oh yeah, Rachel was a really good cook, guys. Rachel's best meal was probably like her salmon and vegetables, or like, I know this isn't a meal, but dessert is a food, okay? Best dessert ever was her freaking muffins. The muffins were sent from God himself. Like, those muffins were so good. They were incredible. The taste was, like, she could sell those muffins, guys. They were so good. So, that's all I'll say. Did you get your key and POV comp items? Yes, I did. I feel like it's so late in the game to do an unboxing. Like, is that even something you guys still want? Like, I feel like no. But if you guys do, I'll do it. But I feel like it's so far out, so I don't know. But yes, I did get my key and everything. If you got voted out at Final Four, who would you be most likely to vote for in the end between Vince, Morgan, or Ava? So if it was Vince versus Ava, I would have voted for Ava. If it was Vince versus Morgan, I would have voted for Morgan. If it was Morgan versus Ava, I really don't know how I would have voted. I don't know. Because I felt like Ava really needed the money. And on top of that, it would have been really hard to choose because we were both very close at that point. But I knew how Ava lived pre-Big Brother. And I also feel like towards the end of the game, me and Ava were slightly closer than me and Morgan. So I don't know who I would have voted for because Ava also had a very strong social game. But Morgan was like a double threat. So I don't know who I would have voted for, Morgan versus Ava. Morgan was such a strong player and Ava was such a strong social player. So I think my vote between the two of them would have came down to whoever had the best speech, honestly, because they both deserve to win. They both deserve to win the money. And at the end of the day, Big Brother isn't like a charity contest. Like, you can't pick someone based off of money. Like, it shouldn't be about money. It should be about who played the best game. So I would have listened to both of their arguments on why each person should win, and I would have voted in the spur of the moment, guys. Like, I don't know who I would have voted for, Morgan versus Ava. How would I feel about going on an all-winter season? Would I have a strategy in mind if you're willing to go? I would absolutely go on an all-winter season, as long as it wasn't 3 months. But I would go on an all-winter season, probably regardless. Strategy in mind, I can't say, because what if they have a winter season? I get invited. Like, I can't tell everybody what my strategy would be. Be dumb. But yeah, I would totally go if it was all winners, if I was to be invited. Was there ever a moment that you went with your gut instead of your brain? Did it work out for you? My gut and brain were very aligned most of the time. The only time my gut and brain weren't aligned was with Mickey, because we were so closely tied. It was really hard to separate game from personal with her specifically. It was also really hard to take out personal and game versus when it was with Will, because there was a moment where Will, Keanu, and I were on the block, and Morgan brought up the fact that if I win the blockbuster, like, we should potentially vote out Will. Like, it would be stronger because Keanu's a bigger shield. And Morgan was 100% right. Like, I'd already thought about that. Like, the thought crossed my mind. I would never do it. But I did realize that if I won the blockbuster, it would be bad to take out Keanu over Will. But for me, some things are just bigger than game. And like, morally, I could not have voted Will out against Keanu. I wouldn't have done it. But if I was separating brain, you know what I'm saying? Brain versus heart, like, brain, it would have made sense to evict Will over Keanu, but my heart would have never let me do it. So Will and Mickey, it was very hard to separate personal and game because we were just all so closely intertwined and had personal close connections that I couldn't have screwed them over, honestly. Like, if me and Mickey were not sitting next to each other, I would have tried, like, I did try. Like, I tried to convince Ava to keep Mickey over Vinny if I were to win the blockbuster, and she wasn't going for it. So yeah, there were times that like my heart and my brain were like separate, specifically with those two people. What were your first impressions of the house guests versus how they turned out to be? Would day one you be surprised about who you ended up working with? Ooh, yes. So day one me would have been very surprised I was working with Vinny, because I obviously was very pissed at Vinny. My first impressions of the house guests versus how they turned out to be. So day one, I was the closest day one to Jimmy, Amy, and Lauren. Jimmy ended up being different than I thought he was going to be in the house. Jimmy knows this, I didn't like him in the house actually after week one. And so that shocked me because I thought me and Jimmy would be best friends off of my first impressions. But then as I got to know Jimmy in the house specifically, I wasn't a huge fan. Now post-show, total different story. Like, I really do like Jimmy. But in the house, I initially really liked him and then I didn't like him. Amy was exactly who I thought she was. Genuine, down, ride or die, sweet, kind, caring person. So my first impressions of her are the same way I think of her now. And then probably the other most shocking person was Lauren. Me and Lauren got on really well the first day. And then there was just no connection there the rest of the game. And it was actually really hard to have conversations with her. They didn't flow naturally in the house. So I would say my first impressions of her were very different than how it was in the game. But I think post-game, she shows her personality so much more, and she's a really sweet girl. So, but my first impression was different than my impression throughout the game of her. I also thought because she was a super fan, she would play more aggressive. So it really surprised me that she was very passive and like listened to so many other people and didn't necessarily always do what's best for her game. Would day one you be surprised about who you ended up working with? Besides Vinny, no. Everybody else was exactly who I would have thought. If you were contractually obligated to start a showmance with someone from your season, who would be your top 3? None. There's no one I would have been in a showmance with. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Someone said, if you could be in a showmance with someone from another season, who would it be? Oh my gosh. I don't know if I want to answer that question. Okay. I'll answer it. I will say, if I was on another season, I think I would have been a showmance with someone like Joseph Abden or someone like Howard from Candace's season, like the season with Aaron, the black guy. Like someone like him. Yeah. And I think on the show, like if it was in the house, I think me and Cam probably would have gone on really well in the house. Yeah. Those are the 3 people I think if it was like in the show. And I'm not talking about the real world because obviously the real world is a completely different story. But if I was in the house on a different season, those are probably the people, yeah, that I would like choose. And if Cedric was older, like maybe Cedric, but he's so young. He's like a baby. So. Had I got picked to go to White Lotus, do you think you would have done well at the maze? I think I would have done well at the maze if I was picked in the beginning, but I think if I was picked towards the end, I would not have done well in the maze because I would have been like freaking out about like the pressure and the time, and there really is not that much time if you get called like at the end. So yeah, someone said Cam or Cedric. What the heck? I'm not answering that. You guys are so funny. Okay, someone said, what's your best estimate on how long the part 2 of the final HOH was? How long did it take you to realize the mistake you're making with the order? I actually answered this in part 1. So if you haven't seen my part 1 Q&A, go check that out because I answered that question there. Okay, guys, I think that's almost it. Now I just have my Instagram questions. I was reading my Instagram. I had 2 different Q&As that I posted people to drop questions in, and then I also had a Twitter one. So I've just been answering all of the questions from there, you guys. If you can change anything, including twists and gameplay, what would you change? I would change that the blockbuster went on as long as it did. That was too long. It felt repetitive, and I was over it. Hottest guy in the house. Guys, nobody in the house is my type. If I had to pick someone, maybe Zach. But Zach wasn't my type either. What was something that you were surprised wasn't aired? The shower gate. I was shocked that they didn't show the time frame that I was actually in the shower. And I was also shocked they didn't show the conversation that me and Vinny had about the shower. That shocked me. Do you think anybody in the early jury phase expected you to win in the end? Yeah, I think Amy believed in me for sure. I think Mickey believed in me too. What were your first thoughts on each cast member? Dang, I don't really want to go through every single cast member, but I will give you the gist. When I first met Lauren, I thought she was really sweet, but she was very reserved. I thought Amy was very genuine and very kind-hearted, kind-spirited. My first impression of Jimmy was that he was just fun and like down, like person that's just a down person, like would have a good time partying. I thought Zach, actually, my first impression of him was that he was a sweetheart. I thought he was a sweetheart. I thought he had really good morals. Catherine, my first impression was this girl's gonna be trouble, honestly, because she was just very opinionated early on, so I knew she was gonna cause some chaos. Will, I thought he was very actually quiet and reserved. When you first met, my first impression was he's so quiet, and I actually wasn't sure we were gonna vibe. And then I got to know him and I was like, oh, he's not quiet. He's very outgoing and talkative. Keanu, I didn't like him from the moment I met him. I'm sorry. I actually knew we weren't gonna get along. I felt like he was the exact type of person I explained when I said like certain types of people I don't get along with. Like it was Keanu by definition. I don't think Keanu's a bad person. I actually think Keanu has a good heart. But I knew we weren't gonna be two peas in a pod. Like he's very loud. He's boisterous. He's the loudest in the room. He's very arrogant. He's very male-centric. He's very like thinks lower of women. Like that wasn't necessarily the person I thought I was gonna vibe with. And I didn't vibe with him, so my first impressions of him were very accurate. He has a kind heart. He just has a really bad temper, and he thinks low of women, for sure. Sorry. I think my first impressions of Ava, I actually thought she was like very gypsy-esque. I wasn't sure if we were gonna vibe actually when I first met her. I thought, I don't know. But then after like 48 hours of knowing her, I was like, oh, we vibe. First impressions of Mickey was that she was very sisterly. She was very warm, and she was very just like, she was that girl. Like Mickey embodied that girl. She just was everything. Like she dressed really cool. Like she dressed like, I liked her style. Like me and Mickey borrowed each other's clothes. And she was just very like, she made me feel comfortable very fast. I knew me and Mickey would be close the first day I met her. She just had like it girl energy, and I love surrounding myself with women who have that it girl energy. Like I am not intimidated by beautiful, spunky women. I welcome it. I'm not, like I said earlier in another video, like I'm only in competition with myself. There's room for all of us to shine. That's always been my mindset. So when I met Mickey, I just knew we would get on. Like she just struck me as like, she is a girl. Like, yes, she had just a very good warm energy. Who else am I missing in the cast? Kelly. Actually, my first impressions of Kelly were very good. I thought Kelly was very outgoing. She seemed really kind at first. And yeah, I had pretty good first impressions of her. We were in the first group together. Zay, I thought he was really cool, a little bit of an airhead, like a beefy bro, but I thought he was really kind. And I also felt like he was someone who like just didn't understand the game. Who am I missing from our cast? Adrian. Oh, me and Adrian got on really well from day one. We were like immediately said we wanted to work together on day one. A1 day one. I wanted Adrian to make it a lot farther than he did actually. Because he was someone I saw myself working with actually. I had a really good first impression on him. He was really, really sweet. He complimented my outfit, said I was so pretty, and just seemed like a guy's girl. Like he just seemed like down for the girls. Like he was very, very warm spirited. You could tell he had a really good heart. He was a really good person. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing castmates. Oh, Rachel. My first impression of Rachel. I actually didn't think me and Rachel would be friends when I first met her. We actually didn't vibe on day one, but we did vibe on like day 3. And then from then we were rocking, like we were vibing. But my first impressions of Rachel, she seemed a little overly dominant at first, but then I got to know her and I saw how kind and warm spirited she is. And we really were besties from there. I think that's it, guys. I think those are all my first impressions. Might be missing a cast member. If I am, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is my LinkedIn profile pic AI? No. Fun fact, that is a pageant photo that was taken by a professional photographer from Miss DC when I competed for the first and last time. I only competed one time. But I competed in Miss DC. I think this was back in like 2023. And that was the photo the photographer took. So no, it's not AI. It's just a professional photo that was for pageants. Do you plan on meeting up with Ava and Will together? I would love to. I think that'd be so fun. If we ever meet up in like New York or from Florida or something, I think that'd be so fun. Have you always been so comfortable being yourself? Yeah, I have. Honestly, I may have went through like a phase in middle school where I wasn't, and I went through a phase where I just really wanted to straighten my hair. I wanted to be like all the white girls at school because I was like one of very few minorities at my middle and elementary school. I was like one of like not very many Black people. All my friends at school were mostly white. And so I just felt like, gosh, I want to look like them. Like I want to have straight hair. I want to have long hair. I'm sick. My hair, it shrinks when it's curly. And I really felt like a little bit insecure about my hair. But I definitely grew out of that, and modeling helped me because I would book jobs. Like I booked American Girl, I booked Kohl's, I booked Lunchables. I was booking big jobs because of my looks. So it made me be like, okay, if these people are seeing something in me and my hair, like I should learn to appreciate my hair. And I did, and I barely ever straighten my hair anymore. When I do it for fun, not because I feel like inferior, if that makes sense, or insecure. What is your advice for those wanting to get on Big Brother? I made a video about this, but I can make a further in-depth YouTube video about advice on getting on Big Brother. Yeah. Okay, we're almost done. What do you think is the best game move you made on BB27? Repositioning myself time and time again, I think, are my best game moves. I think you saw in the beginning of the game, it was me and Amy locked in. Really quickly, when I realized Amy was probably going to go home or that Amy would constantly be a target, I repositioned myself and attached myself to Morgan and Mickey. I feel like that was a huge, valuable game move because I saw that they were the change makers in the house. They were making the moves. They were connected to the most people. So I knew if I tied myself to them, I would have some sort of protection. And then I pivoted again. Me and Rachel obviously were really close. And then I also had Will, Ava, and Mickey. And so I kind of had these two pillars who are like intertwined, but not. And then I also started trying to build out connections with Zach. I tried really hard to make Vinny convince him that I wasn't coming for him, even though I was coming for him. But I tried to convince him otherwise. And I think repositioning myself into the Judges Alliance, that was a huge move. And yeah, as you can see, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but everything I said in the finale is accurate and true. I continuously repositioned myself in the game and adapted to everything I was thrown at. When allies went home, I figured out how to turn enemies into allies because I needed that connection and resource in the game to stay alive. So yeah, I think that's my biggest game move. What's the hardest part about being on Big Brother? I think I've answered this several times, guys. But that's cool that a lot of you guys have the same questions. But in short, the hardest part being in the game is the mental strain from not being able to talk to friends and family, not having that much outside time, and also not having your phone or TV. It does get very boring in the house, so that was hard. Was CS La Vie on purpose? Kind of. I read it, and in my head, I did be like, CS La Vie! But then I saw underneath, it had the parentheses. So then I was like, you know what? This would be funny if I said CS La Vie. This is perfect. This is very this is very on brand. And so I thought it would be funny. But when I did read it in my mind, I saw CS La Vie. But before I read the whole thing out loud, I obviously saw that underneath there was parentheses. So then I was like, oh, this would just be funny. Why not? And everybody laughed, so it was funny. Another question, Big Brother related. Top 5 favorite house guests from your season. That's easy. Rachel, Will, Amy. Rachel, Will, Amy. I'm missing somebody. Rachel, Will, Amy, Mickey. Rachel, Will, Amy, Mickey. That's 4. Okay, so 5 would be Jimmy. What's my favorite Netflix show? My favorite Netflix show, probably Ozark, which is an old one, but I think it's so good. What made you decide to become a lawyer? Ooh, that's a really good question. I decided to become a lawyer because I knew that I wanted to become a lawyer and said I was going to become a lawyer since early high school. And I just felt like this is what I said I'm going to do. I should just do it. If I go to the best school, I can get guaranteed pay. I can come out making over $200,000, which I did. And I just felt like that was the best for me because I'm expensive. I like expensive things, but I'll be damned if someone's son holds their money over my head. Okay, women, this is a message to all women. You need to have your own money. You need to have your own source of income. You should never rely on a man for money. Always have your own. Always work hard. Have your own. Be with somebody on your level though. Don't get it twisted. I'm not going to be with no broke man. I'm going to be with someone on my level, but I don't want to ever have to rely on a man for finances because people are human. Relationships might not work out. And then what the hell are you going to do? What are you going to have to your name? So I always knew I like expensive things. I have expensive taste. I need to be able to pay for myself. I don't ever want to rely on a man. I don't ever want to date someone for money. I don't want to ever be with someone I don't want to be with, but I have to be with off of necessity because of financial, stability. And so law to me was a pathway to financial stability, simply put. What was my audition video like? I was just talking to the camera just like this. Literally just like this. Nothing special. No edits really. I just shot the shit. How's my life changed since Big Brother and how has it stayed the same? Ooh, it's changed a lot because one, I don't work a 9 to 5. So I don't wake up early. I literally wake up at 11 every day. I know that's bad, but I go to sleep kind of late. I go to events. I go to a lot of influencer events. I meet a lot of my favorite influencers, which is crazy. It's crazy to me. I go to a lot of movie premieres and movie screenings, which I was never going to before. Yeah, the whole quality of my life has changed. I feel like my quality of life is just up here now because I don't have the stress of like my 9-to-5 job. That was not a 9-to-5 job, by the way. I was just so busy in things that I was bored of, and now I'm busy with things that I genuinely am passionate about. So my life has changed a lot in those ways. My favorite ice cream flavor, someone said? Chocolate or swirl? Am I Love Island girly? Yes, I love Love Island. I didn't finish this last season, but I loved Serena and Leah's season. That was like my favorite season of Love Island. And if you guys want me to make a video about Love Island, I will, because I love reality TV. I'm a reality TV buff. I love Real Housewives. I love Bravo. I love all of it. How was the food in the Big Brother house? When Mickey and Rachel cooked, the food was great. And Morgan. I'll give a shout out to Morgan. Morgan was a great cook as well. Morgan cooked really good breakfast food. She also made a bomb pesto pasta. She was a very good cook. So yeah, it was nice when any of the cooks cooked, which the three cooks were, I mean, Mickey and Rachel were the main cooks. And then Morgan was also like, I'll throw her in there because she did cook breakfast a few times. And at the end, she cooked a few meals that were really delicious. So all three of them were very good cooks. What would your HOH music be? I talked about that actually already. What was one item you missed while in the Big Brother house? My cell phone. I miss my cell phone so freaking much. It's not even funny. When are you coming to Orlando, Florida? I was in Orlando, Florida in December for OTE. I'm not sure when I'll be back to Orlando. I'm not gonna lie. What is my zodiac sign? I'm a Sagittarius. And I'm so Sagittarius. Like if you Google female Sagittarius and like the traits, that is me. That is me down. I'm a firecracker. I'm a firecracker. I'm free-spirited. I tell it how it is. I'm also sweet and I'm kind-hearted and I'm happy-go-lucky and I live in my own little world. Like everything you see about a female Sagittarius, 90% of it is me. What was your biggest step that made you the winner? Guys, I feel like I went over this already. Love you though, and I appreciate your question. Tony for Life said, how's life in LA? What do you miss the most about New York? I don't miss anything about New York. I'm not gonna lie, Tony. I don't miss anything about New York. The weather was horrid. I hated taking public transit and I hated all the walking. I like to walk for fun, not out of necessity. So I don't miss anything about New York, but life in LA is amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love it. I'm loving the journey. I'm moving into a new apartment soon. I'm really excited about that. I'm getting a 2-bedroom, so I'm upgrading. And guys, my 2-bedroom cost the exact same, almost pretty much the exact same as my apartment in New York, which was not a 2-bedroom. It was a home office plus studio. So yeah, I lived in a 1-bedroom basically in New York, and now I'm having a 2-bedroom in LA, and they're the same price. So I'm loving LA, and the weather is way better. Did I ever get bored in the Big Brother house? All the time. Yes, all the time. Do I stay in touch with any of the other BB contestants? Yes, I've said which ones I stay in touch with. How am I doing? TL Trailer said. I'm doing amazing. I really am. I really am loving life. I really feel so blessed. Sometimes I'm left speechless with my life. Like I feel like I'm living my dream life right now, and it's really incredible. Yeah. What was one item you missed? Someone asked this already. My phone. Okay, guys, I think that is all the questions. 2 hours later. Oh my gosh, this video was so long. I hope you guys enjoyed it though, and I hope this helps you get to know me a little bit better. If you want it like a get to know me video, I can do that. Comment below any video ideas you want to see, because I want to provide content that you guys actually like and are interested in. And yeah, I'm so excited for this next chapter. Definitely hit the subscribe button to my YouTube. I'm going to try to post videos on YouTube weekly from the moment you're seeing this video and onwards. I'm making a commitment to myself. And yeah, I'm gonna try to do like days in my life. So I'm gonna try to do vlogs. I'm gonna try, guys. I'm gonna try to remember. Sometimes it's so hard to remember how to do things and how to film things and like remember to do it. That's my main problem, is remembering to do it. Sometimes I go out and I'm really just enjoying the time connecting with these new friends, connecting with brands, connecting with old friends, and I just forget to film. But I know this is now part of my new life. So I know I need to get on the ball. And so I'm like, Ashley, you need to freaking film more. So I'm gonna try to post more content. When I move into my new apartment, it'll be so much easier to film. So I'm really looking forward to new beginnings and new chapters. And yeah, subscribe to my channel. My Instagram is at @AshleyHollis_. So is my Twitter. And my Snapchat is HeyIt'sAshley101. So if you wanna follow me on any other platforms, oh, and my TikTok is @AshleyHollis_ as well. Yeah, so if you want to follow me, those are my platforms. I'll also link them below in the description box. And yeah, please subscribe if you like this video, because there'll be more, and comment any video ideas you have or videos that you guys want to see. I love you and thank you so much for all of your support. It truly means the world to me. Big Brother was an insane opportunity that I just feel so blessed and lucky that I got to experience. And yeah, and I hope, you know, you guys still come along for the ride. Love you. Bye.